Good evening. They came from far and wide to compete at the World Series of Darts finals in Salzburg this weekend, but a British player will take home the trophy. Two Englishmen, a Scotsman and one thoroughly pumped up Welshman all have their eyes on the prize.
Welcome to Austria! We are looking at the players of every top of their game. Bingo.
Got the right head on.
Clear the blocks. When I'm good, I'm good. I know what it takes to win. Fabulous drama. Oh my goodness. For the match. And there we have the celebration of Gareth Price. And he's found the one he wanted. Tops required. And tops delivered. Number 16 to win a trophy. Wow. Easy money on now.
We're at the sharp end in Salzburg as the four remaining players compete to be crowned King of the World Series. Peter Wright beat Gareth Price at the semi-final stage on the way to becoming world champion at the start of the year. And the two meet again in the last four tonight. That's followed by James Wade, who won this title 2 years ago in Austria, up against current European champion Rob Cross. It's a slightly longer format tonight, best of 21 legs, or the first to 11. Well, Alan and Chris have paced themselves today. They were quite tempted not to, let me tell you that. But they have. They're here. They're wide-eyed. They are bushy-tailed. And we are so looking forward to this first semi-final tonight, aren't we? Wright and Price, which, after what happened at the World Championship, it's got a bit of a zing to it.
Yeah, it got a little bit spiky. I think Pricey said something in the interview that he was not going to drop a set to Peter Wright in the semi-final. There was a bit of back and forth between the two. And of course Peter Wright won the opening set and went to have a bit of banter, and Pricey was having none of it, and it remained spiky for the rest of the match. But they have a lot of respect for each other on that hockey. They both know how talented each of them are, and I'm looking forward to it. Wherever you place the top four players in the world, whether you think it's, you know, I mean, you've got to put Aspinall in and around there, and Pricey and MVG and Dozer, and of course Peter Wright. But one thing for sure, two of the best of the current crop. Like I say, order is all about opinion, but they're facing off against each other tonight, and for me, I think the winner comes from whoever wins that match.
Yeah, I mean, they did all make up afterwards, and they were very grown up afterwards, weren't they, with their apologies. You can imagine how it gets a little bit feisty.
Straight for £500,000. If you weren't a little bit spiky, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, absolutely.
About being grown up, but I know what you mean.
What about Peter Wright? He fairly comfortable, wasn't he, in his 10-5 victory over Darryl Gurney? But how's he looking to you? Yeah,
it seemed ages ago now, doesn't it? The first game of the day this afternoon at lunchtime, and he's obviously had plenty of time to prepare for this game. He's looked good in both of his matches, just over 100 average. He's looked in control. He's looked pretty happy up there, even when he's been hit by some quality darts by his opponents. He's managed to come through in the end, and he'll be looking forward to this game more than anybody.
Yeah, we saw the little montage that teed up tonight's proceedings at Gareth Price with his muscles and his bouncing up and down. Absolutely pumped up for this. I mean, how do you rate his performances so far?
Yeah, again, very much like Peter Wright, and pretty much on par in terms of their statistic, which is why this is, you know, building up to be a great match. There's nothing to part them. The one thing for Price, he's came through a really tough battle with Nathan Aspinall, so he's battle hardened, and he knows he's got it in the locker to fight back, and that was a very good version as well of Nathan Aspinall. Let's have it right. Well, obviously Peter Wright played it equally as well, but coasted to a win. I'm just siding with Pricey, but with no real confidence. You know, it's more of an inkling rather than sort of fact-based.
Yeah, I wonder what that does to you on finals day. If you've come through such a tight match as that one, really been tested, is it a little more straightforward for Peter? Would he then be fresher and he was on earlier, or does it not have a bearing?
You can look at it from both sides, I suppose, but with it being such a long time ago, I don't think it will bother either player. They'll just be looking forward to this game as, you know, they know what the opponents can do, and they've had so many good games in sort of the recent history of our sport.
it can go either way. We both know that. I think it's just a case of who just really wants it when they get up there at that moment in time, because they're both capable, they're both, you know, TV winners, major winners. Peter's a world champion, and the kind of antics that they've had before doesn't really have any sort of inception within the game.
And of course they're all proven winners on these Super Sundays when they have to play multiple games in the one day and over this distance. So that they will have no fears about that at all. And of course, you know, fittest man in there, it's going to be an advantage. He's going to be fresh. Like I would say, it was that long ago. You know, the different. It was a semi-final that went 11-10, and they had to jump straight into another match if you were on second, so you didn't get any respite at all. But yeah, it's teed up nicely. And then, of course, James Wade doing what James Wade does.
What's that?
It's just
Win matches calmly. And
well, he just goes under the radar, doesn't he? You know, he doesn't sort of court the press in any way, shape or form. And that's right. That performance from Dozer against MVG going into this one, I did say, you know, write him off at your peril. And that was a really good version of Glenn Durham as well. I mean, I think he even finished with 103 average. And James, they're very similar players, to be honest. They're real grinders. They got stacks of bottle. They fear no one, and they just find a way to win. So it was almost apt that it went all the way.
It was a game-managed professional job by James. You have to remember, even in the early stages, after the first session, 3-2 to James, he's averaging 113 and was losing. So what James did, he didn't let him win his own throw. He kept winning his own throw, even though he was throwing everything at him. There wasn't many occasions where it was 3 or 4 darts at the double. It was the odd one for a big finish. He kept winning his throw, kept winning his throw, kept winning his throw. And when you're doing that all the time, he must have gone in the back room at the end and thought, how did I lose that game? I played so well for 70-80% of it.
James Wade is one of these players that, I mean, he has hit big averages, of course, but as a rule, all he focuses on is his own throw, and if he feels like the leg's gone and there's not a break opportunity available, he'll coast, and he'll just get ready and focus on his next leg, and he just worries about winning his own throw, which is why, you know, he's been so effective over leg play matches, and maybe why he's not done as well as we would expect over set play, because it's obviously a completely different format. But he's just like, if he was he's a golfer that has great course management, he has great ball management, he has a great mindset for darts.
Yeah, what about Rob Cross? He did really well in the end. A difficult match against Michael Smith, who was very heavy in the scoring, but his finishing let him down in the end.
Yes, obviously Michael let him off a few times, but that's not his problem. He did what he had to do. I mean, the last 2 legs of that match from Rob Cross were as good as we've seen from him for a year and a half, 2 years.
Well,
that's only 2 legs.
The last 3 went 11, 11, 12.
Yeah.
And there was an 11 darter from Smith.
Absolutely
But
fantastic end to the game.
It was 2 players that were just desperate for some kind of confidence and desperate for a run in something, because that's the only way you get confidence. You can hit what you like on the practice board, you can hit what you like playing your mate in the pub. It makes absolutely no difference. What matters is doing it up there on that big stage.
Yes, and we're looking forward to seeing what the first 2 players can do on that stage tonight. They are Peter Wright and Gerwyn Price, and both of them have been talking to Dan Dawson.
Gerwyn, you're on a heck of a winning run at the moment. Last 2 tournaments, 2 games here. Needed a bit of luck, but sometimes you need that to win titles.
Yeah, definitely. I've been playing well. I just want opportunities now and again, but yeah, I'm playing well enough to win this, so hopefully that's the case.
Quite a battle between you and Peter Wright, not just tonight, but over the course of this year, you, Peter Wright and Michael van Gerwen, all vying for who's the best in the world.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game tonight. I need to fly over the blocks, I think, and take my chances, and if I can do that and get a good lead on Peter, I think I'll come through this game.
You obviously won the Summer Series, Gerwyn Price won the Autumn Series. You 2 have been vying for titles right the way through this year.
Yeah, Gezzy's become, one of the top players in the world. He's proven to everyone as well with big averages and beating the big players as well. So it should be a good game.
Yourself, you've managed to sort of coast through your games, making them look relatively straightforward without hitting top gear so far.
Oh. Yeah, true. I ain't played well yet, so I don't want to play well until the final. So see how it goes.
What would it mean to you to win this first title back in front of the fans? You know, the idea of getting a trophy and there being actual people in the audience cheering your name at the time?
Well, that was absolutely awesome. You know, when I went out yesterday in front of like the 2000 we had, it was amazing. It was good to have them back. But you know, it's been a lot of work to get that back, and to lift the title in front of them guys would be great.
What do you make of your opponent, Peter Wright? Do you think that he is? I mean, he's obviously been champion, but do you think he's your biggest threat this season?
I think he's got my trophy, and he's not having any more.
Can't wait to see it tonight.
No, it's just.
Cracking bit of fighting talk. Well, Peter Wright said that he woke up this morning and decided to change his darts. Well, it didn't do him any harm, did it? It is something he tends to do on a fairly frequent basis, but he went on to see off Darryl Gurney in the quarters. Garen Price had a rather tougher time of it on that last leg decider against Nathan Aspinall. But who will book their spots in the final? Time to find out. Here's John McDonald to bring out the players.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the Salzburg Arena here in Austria. The semi-final stages of the BWin World Series of Darts Finals, brought to you by the Professional Darts Corporation. We are live on ITV Sport, and now, ladies and gentlemen, for the thousands joining us live and the millions joining us around the world, it's time to meet the semi-finalists. Would you please welcome a World Cup and UK Open finalist, a two-time back-to-back winner of the Grand Slam, the Iceman, Goodwin Ray! Ladies and gentlemen, and now, a two-time World Series of Darts finalist runner-up. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the World Cup and the reigning champion of the world! Let's get this party started! Snake Line, Peter
Peter Wright, ever the showman, and Garen Price tends to be seen as a pantomime villain. Sometimes he likes it, sometimes less so. Either way, these players can play. Alan Warren a little and Stuart Pike are ready for this.
It could be, it should be, an absolute cracker. Of course, it's first to 11 in the semi-finals and finals. Peter Wright, who has won 3 World Series events, has been beaten twice in the World Series finals, and he is in really good form. And to be fair, both wins over Damon Hester and Darryl Gurney have been very comfortable. Garen Price, who's never even reached the final of a World Series event. This may be his moment, this may be his night. We shall see. Jackie and the boys were talking about brilliant game. A 10-9 victory over Nathan Aspinall. And both of them are really in good form. You have to say that at the moment, Alan, it's a toss-up for who is the best player in the world at this very moment. Is it Wright? Is it Price?
I totally agree, Stuart. I'm sure
first leg is going to throw first.
fans from both sides will agree with that and have their own pick. This is all about this particular match to get to the final later this evening. And as you said, both in terrific form. And I'm sure both looking forward to facing each other. Scotland v Wales.
It's interesting that both Alan and Chris think the winner of this tournament comes from the winner of this semi-final. Of course, a little later on we'll see James Wade, who won this event 2 years ago. He against Rob Cross, who started to find some good form over this weekend at the World Series. Peter Wright may well be swapping the darts again. These are the darts that he may have used yesterday, different to the ones he used in the quarterfinals. It's 10 a penny, isn't it? It doesn't really matter anymore.
Wouldn't surprise me.
No, it doesn't matter which ones he uses. Inevitably, they do the trick. I still don't understand why. He was so good against Darryl Gurney.
Maybe he feels like he needs to do that kind of thing more often to keep him on his toes. Keep him in the practice room.
Paul last visit, including a bounce out for Price. He's going to get a dart. And his favourite tops to take the opening leg.
Not been the powerhouse scoring that we've seen from these two players in the tournament so far. It's still important, these early legs.
They'll have to move, absolutely. And that makes it very, very difficult.
In the car park in a minute.
Oh, that's a good dart. That's a brilliant dart. He couldn't have seen much of that at all. He knows how good that dart was. Price wins the first leg. On throw.
21 darts. But it still gets a leg on the board.
Doesn't matter, does it? Early stages, just about, especially winning that first leg on throw, and that's what Peter Wright will be hoping to do here.
Yes, the scoring certainly wasn't there for me to play, it has to be said. As you say, it's only the first leg, but still, a leg to be won.
That's okay, we'll be happy with that. 140. 140. Two 140s in the leg for Peter Wright. Now look at that, he raced to the ball to take those darts out. He was so pleased with himself. 174, brilliant setup shot.
If that was in, which it is, here's the ball.
Well, after that fabulous setup shot. Double 10. Wow, that was brilliant. Physics of 174 on a 100 finish. 6 darts, 2-0.
Yes, fabulous. Last two visits there. 174, set it up. And then Peter Wright with one dart off the ball. Lovely maximum. Needs to follow it up though. This is against the throw. It's important if he can get his teeth into this match.
Yeah, that World Championship semi-final was flawless, wasn't it? Neither player were really at their supreme best, but Peter Wright just dug in.
Yeah, it was more of a battle, wasn't it? As Peter Wright said he needed to get his teeth into this match. 2 maximums. He only had 1 dart at the ball to take a leg. Well, he should have 2 darts to get a leg on the board.
Well, data from Snakebite. No complaints there from Galen Price. With the right level it up.
He's certainly flying very quickly. I mean, he's not a slouch anyway. There's certainly a bit more pace in his throw.
Just wondering whether Galen Price at the moment is setting the pace for the game. Yeah, there's a lot of angst, wasn't there, before and during that World Championship semi-final. Both players had great escapes earlier in the tournament, and both thought they could win it, both expected to win it. But it was strewn with errors and tension, and it was Peter Wright who came out winning 6 sets to 3, and then the rest will go down in darting history.
That's what can happen to when you start thinking of other things instead of the job at hand.
480. He'll have 6 darts if he needs them to level up the semi-final.
With one of those. Double 10. Lovely set up there from Peter Wright. And he's got a great opportunity to get level.
He'll stay there.